What's up, everybody? It's Ryan with On This Day in MMA. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. Get ready to lead into the weekend. What do we got going on right now in the UFC and the MMA world? It's not very clear, what's going on right now in the UFC world. There's a lot of questions, especially after UFC 295 and the injuries and the fights that happened and the guys who won and the whole John Jones thing. It's not very clear, and that's really in a whole lot of divisions. Heavyweights like that, light heavyweights like that, middleweights like that, welterweights like that. Leon's talking about maybe moving up and stuff if he gets through Colby. So a lot of weird kind of not very secure stuff. A lot of times we already kind of know, like, hey, look, he gets through this guy's going to get the next title shot. He gets through this one, this is going to be a number one contenders fight. So stuff's constantly changing, and that's kind of the cool thing really about the UFC, because it is, man, day to day, like, stuff's constantly changing all the time. Like, nothing's ever set in stone until those guys are in the octagon squaring off and Bruce Buffer's announcing them. It can change anytime. What do we got? I've been seeing a lot of videos, especially with the heavy hitters, the Bisbings and the Sunnins and all those guys, DC. A lot of videos about Tom Aspinall. A lot of videos, which I think it's great. I really like the guy. I've bought into him. I'm a big fan now, especially after he got through Sergey. And I was a fan even before then. Even if he would have lost, I would have been a fan. I just like how he carries himself. I like the relationship that he has with his dad, and that whole story there about how he was 8 or 9 years old. His dad got him into the gym and saw something special with him, even at that young of an age. He saw something in his son that, hey, you know what? This kid might have that thing, that it factor, and his dad saw it, and he took a big gamble, and he bet on his son, and they fucking made it. They won, If his career ended today, they still made it, for sure, 100%. Everything from here on out is just extra, in my opinion, really, because to be the UFC heavyweight champion, which I consider him right now, he is the heavyweight champion. He knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, that neither John Jones or Stipe Miocic wanted to fight. Let's just call it what it is. Neither one of those guys wanted anything to do with that guy. Aspinall goes in there and lays him out in like a minute. That's a big deal, That's a real big deal. So I'm a big fan of Aspinall. Look, what's he going to do? Wait around a year and a half or something for John Jones? He's not going to even be able to ready to fight for another 9 or 10 months, 8, 9, 10 months. And then he's going to fight Stipe, and then you got to wait another, 4 or 5 months minimum if there's no injuries or anything like that. You think that's just ridiculous to even consider. And I don't know if the UFC would even put on a fight where he's defending the interim title. I don't even know if that's even a thing or if that's even happened before. Like, they usually just kind of go away, Like, I think Colby was like the interim champion, and it kind of he just not one day, Who else did that happen with? I think a couple other people that happened with too, but, he's the champion in my eyes. I do. And I think the UFC understands that. They're in a tough spot, though. I think they're in a real tough spot. The big dogs at the top, Mick Maynard and Dana. Oh, man, I'm having a brain fart. All the guys at the top, the 3 or 4 guys that are kind of like running the show at the top there with Dana. They're in a tough spot. You got John Jones, who's considered the greatest MMA fighter of all time. Okay, you got Stipe, is the greatest heavyweight of all time. You don't want to burn a bridge with those guys and say, well, look, man, we're stripping you, we're doing this, we're doing that, now you're going to fight him. It's like, they want to try to please those guys just because of their history with the company. And what they've done for the sport, So they want to do right by those guys. I really think they do. If not, if they didn't want to do right by those guys, they would have already came out and stripped Jones. They would have said, look, Aspinall's the heavyweight champ. You guys can just fight and we'll call it good. But they're not doing that. They're treading very lightly with this whole situation. They're not putting out a whole lot of information on it. They're not talking about it a whole lot because I think they don't really know quite what to do just yet, you know? So I think they're going to get it figured out. And I think a tough decision is going to have to be made. I think they're going to have to make Aspinall the true champion. And they're going to have to work something out with Jones and Stipe where that's just like, that's a legacy fight. They're still going to get paid the same. It's still going to do big numbers. It's still going to be a great fight. I would still be really interested in watching it. But just make it like a retirement fight for those two because they both already pretty much came out and said that after that fight they were retiring. So, like, why would you even still, like, keep Aspinall as the interim? If that's the case, there's nothing beyond that. So, why even, like, make believe that it's going to be for, like, the heavyweight championship or it's going to be, like, you know, where they could set up a fight afterwards? That's just not going to happen. But they're trying to do right by him. I truly believe that they don't want to, you know, because like I said, I think if they weren't trying to do that, they would have already stripped Jones and Aspinall would have been the heavyweight champion. Which everybody kind of already thinks that already anyway. Everything that I'm seeing online, everybody that I talk to about it, everybody is already considering Aspinall as the heavyweight champion. You know, so or you do, which I've been hearing a lot of too. You do look. Jones got hurt. They have to make him understand that, dude, we're not like burning you or turning our back on you or doing anything like that. It was unfortunate you got hurt, but the show must go on, you know? And you know what? Let me say this. This also shows a lot of the person I think that John Jones is. What happened when Jamal Hill broke his Achilles or had Achilles injury and stuff like that? He said, look, I'm not going to hold the division up. I'll be back. You guys just kind of like keep rolling. He pretty much, I don't know if they stripped him or he relinquished it. I think he kind of relinquished it. I don't think there was a whole lot of give there or back and forth there. I think he pretty much relinquished the belt. The same thing with Yuri. John Jones ain't doing that, is he? He's holding on to that belt, right? Yeah. You know, even though this is his retirement fight and everything, there's no thing out there where Jones is like, I'm going to relinquish the belt, let them guys fight, and then I'll come back, and that's not happening. You know, that's not happening. So, you know, but I think you could do Stipe versus Aspinall. And look, they would just have to have like a sit down with John and say, look, John, I mean, you got hurt, dude. Like, it's an injury, but the show must go on. Like, we can't like hang this thing up. You can't expect Aspinall to wait around for a year and a half. You know, if you want to come back when you heal and fight, then come back and we'll work something out. You can fight, but for right now, the show must go on. And if I was calling it, I think that's probably what I would probably do or what I would push for. I'd probably push for that Aspinall Stipe. Let's do that one, right? Let's do that one. But see, I don't think they want to fight him. It could be that. I don't think they want to fight him, Jones or Miocic. Jones and Miocic are well past their prime. They're later on in their careers. Aspinall's a fucking dog. This dude is a straight killer. Same with Sergey Pavlovich, man. Like, those guys don't want no part of that. They might say they do, but when they're fucking laying their head down on their pillow at night, they don't want to be in there with that dude because he's a fucking killer. You know, especially after what he did to Pavlovich. So, you know, that's why both of them are pretty much saying they want to just keep fighting, you know, they want to fight each other. Jones said, hey, I want to fight Miocic. Miocic's like, oh, the only one I want to fight is John Jones. Then if that's the fight that you guys want to do and you guys want to make, then I would let it be the legacy fight. Just let that be the legacy fight and let that thing move on and let Aspinall, like I said, be the true heavyweight champion and let him defend the belt. You know, he's earned it for sure. So, what else we got going on? We got a card tomorrow night. Brandon Allen versus Paul Craig on the main event. Should be a good fight. Both of those guys like to push the pace. I'm probably leaning a little more towards Allen. I think he's really looking good in his last few fights, and you know, I see him. I do see him coming out on top. I just like the way he moves. He's light on his feet as well. He's got good striking, got good takedown defense. So I'm kind of pulling for the kid Allen. I really like him a lot too. So I kind of see him. I'd like to see him get the win on that. What else we got going on here? The light heavyweight division is kind of like still the same. I mean, what do you do? Do you wait for Jamal Hill? I don't know where he's at in his recovery. If it's going to be like, hey, he'll be ready to go in a couple months, 3, 4, or hey, he's still got another 8 or 9 months left still before he's ready to go. Pereira's been pretty busy. Especially this year. I seen Sonnen talks about it. He's considering him the fighter of the year. He won the belt in middleweight. He won the belt light heavyweight this year. He could sit back for a little while. I'm sure he's made a ton of money. I'm sure he's in a really good spot right now. I'd probably sit back and wait for Jamal Hill. There's really not. I don't know if there's a whole lot of fights there at light heavyweight that really, you know, do a whole lot other than the Hill fight. But I think it depends on how long what his timeline is coming back. And I haven't heard too much about that really, honestly. So it's kind of hard to say. But if it's 8 or 9 months or whatever that is, even a year, I don't know if he's going to want to sit out that long. But I think you wait for Hill for sure. Pereira versus Jamal Hill, I think that's a real good one. And like I said, Pereira's already done a whole lot in the last year and a half. He had the Adesanya run with him, and then he came back and won the light heavyweight title. He was the middleweight champion this year. So, man, he's had a great year. Boom. I'd lay back and let Hill fucking heal up, and then you do a big banger fight, for the light heavyweight championship. And then UFC 300 coming up. I think that's going to be like around April time frame. We've already heard that McGregor's no longer on that card. I think they had initially put out that he was going to be on that card. And then I don't know what happened. I saw the interview with John Kavanagh and Ari Helwani, and he was pretty much saying like, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be the summer now. So I don't know what the inside story is or the scoop is with that whole situation. It's just, God, man. Gosh, and you could kind of almost tell with Kavanaugh, it's like, I don't even know why the guy's even coming back. It would have been nice just to see him ride off in the sunset after the Donald Cerrone fight. He came back, he got a nice win, go out on a high note. The Dustin fight's just, man, I don't know, man. It just, Dustin's a dog too, man, for sure, man. He just got so good, and he'd been in there so much that it was kind of like this, It was like McGregor and Poirier beat him and stuff, and then it went like this, and then now it's like this. Now Poirier's just skill-wise and all that, man. He's just surpassed him. I mean, he beat him bad both of those fights. It wasn't even really close. But anyway, McGregor comes back against Chandler. Still looking forward to that one. I think it would still be a pretty good fight. UFC, well, not UFC 300 anymore. It's going to be back into the summer. And I heard the argument about that too, where UFC 300 is already really stacked. Like, they don't need McGregor on that card to draw it. It's already stacked heavy. So why don't you bump him to like International Fight Week or later in the year? So that's another bang up card. So that's 2 guaranteed banger cards out of the year. UFC only going to do like 1 or 2 more, and their year is good. Their year is set. So you don't need to, from a business standpoint, bring him back and put him on UFC 300. That's already a card all on its own that can sell and do good. So you make another one for him where that one's going to sell. So, like I said, yeah, that could have been part of it too, behind the scenes from just a business standpoint. But yeah, man, hey, there's a lot going on right now in the UFC. A lot of stuff on the horizon. A lot of stuff is going to change day to day. So looking forward to it. Ready to ride this thing out and see what happens over the next 6-8 months. And it should be pretty cool to see. And looking forward to it. You guys have a good weekend. See ya.